Hello, good morning everyone. So, pwede rin naman good afternoon or good evening, depende kung anong oras na ito pinapanood. But I just want to welcome you back on my channel. It is because parang almost a year ago na yata yung last kong upload in this channel. So, I am Ma'am Sheena Doria and I will be discussing about controlling. So, just to recap, for the previous videos, we have discussed the introduction to management and, of course, the different management functions. Okay, so um, the management functions or the functions of management are actually your planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. So, as you can see, this is actually the last topic for the management series. So, I hope you could learn a thing or two and I hope you could share your takeaways with me about this topic. Okay. So, first, we will discuss the learning outcomes for this topic. Of course, first is to explain the nature and importance of control, describe the three steps in the control process, explain how organizational performance is measured, describe tools used to measure organizational performance, and discuss contemporary issues in control. Okay, so to start, we will first define what controlling is, right? So it is the management function that involves monitoring, comparing, and correcting work performance. So we know that planning is really important. Okay, but then meron kasi siyang connection with controlling. Okay, it's like ito lagi yung kung metaphor or lagi kong example for students to understand what controlling is. Okay, controlling guys is really making sure that your plans are well implemented. So controlling lets you see kung lahat ba ng mga goals are achieved. Okay, isipin natin na meron tayong isang road na nadadaanan, meron tayong isang destination, okay, at meron tayong isang kotse, okay? Ayan. So, yung kotse dadaan doon sa road, parang dadaan lang siya. The road represents our plan. Yung kotse, it represents the company. Tapos, syempre, yung destination natin, it is actually our goal or gusto nating ma-achieve na outcome. So, for the company to achieve yung goal, kailangan niyang hindi lumampas doon sa road na yun. Kasi isipin niyo, may bangin, di ba? Okay, kumbaga parang sa mountain siya nagdo-drive. Tapos, um, kung hindi niya ma-straight yung road na yun, pwede siyang mahulog. Okay. Or kung hindi man siya mahuhulog, may chance na masira yung gulong niya kasi sa gilid maraming mga tusok-tusok. Isipin natin na gano'n. So, yun yung siguro representation ng something na hindi natin na-achieve yung goal natin. So, the actually, ang controlling, ang purpose niya is, di ba, yan na dumadaan yung kotse. Tapos, pag may time na, kunyari may straight line, pag may time na yung kotse yun ay lumampas doon sa line where it's supposed to be, okay, ang controlling ang magbabalik doon sa linya. So, how do you control? So, pag lumampas siya, dapat magkaroon ka ng corrective action. So, pag in terms of the kotse, kailangan ubalik niya doon sa linya. Okay? Yun yung corrective action. Pero syempre, kung nasa straight line naman at wala namang pagkakamali, you should do nothing. Okay? So, yun yung controlling. And make sure niya na you're on the right path. Kasi sabi nga natin, importante ang planning, pero importante rin ang implementation. So, what if maganda yung planning, pero hindi naman siya na-implement ng maayos? So, yun yung role ng controlling. Okay, so I hope that is understood. So, all managers should control even if their units are performed as planned because they can't really know unless they've evaluated what activities have been done and compared actual performance against the desired standard. Kumbaga kasi, in controlling kasi, you compare it kung ano yung set mong goals. Kumbaga, meron kang target na 30%. Okay, through controlling, ma-identify mo na, okay, so at this quarter, 30% ng goal, pero 25 lang nagawa namin. So, ibig sabihin, meron kaming 5% na parang na-short kami ng 5%. So, yun yung isa sa mga roles ng controlling. So, effective controls ensure that activities are completed in ways that lead to the attainment of goals. Whether controls are effective then is determined by how well they help employees and goals achieve achieve their goals. Okay. So, determined by how well they help employees and managers achieve their goals. So, syempre, kailangan pa rin ng intervention ng ating mga managers. So, what then is the purpose of controlling? So, ang purpose ng control class is to make sure that activities are completed in ways that lead to the accomplishment of organizational goals. So, sabi ko, kaya siya control, literal siya na nagko-control na ng kung ano yung takbo ng organization. Kumbaga, kaya nga dapat nagkakaroon ka lagi ng strategy evaluation. So, when I wrote my strategy paper, when I graduated for master's, sabi ko, parang strategy evaluation is like your controlling part kasi you make sure that goals are achieved. So, the value of the control function can be seen in three specific areas: your planning, empowering employees, and protecting the workplace. So, ayan. So, dito, meron tayong three areas na pwede natin makita yung importance ng controlling. So, number one is actually your planning. So, as the final link in management functions, planning is actually greatly related to controlling. Kasi kumbaga, yung basis mo ng controlling mo is galing sa planning. So, controls let managers know whether their goals and plans are on target and what future actions to take. Okay. So, the planning and controlling link can be actually seen in this diagram. Ayan. So, makikita nyo, hindi lang actually controlling, pero planning to controlling link siya. From goals ng planning, goals, objectives, strategies, and plans, to organizing, pagtapos mo na yan, it will lead to organizing or your HRM. Kaya nga, organizing is somewhat like staffing, ganyan. So, yung leading naman is all about motivation, leadership, communication, and group behavior. Then, so after that, nagkakaroon ka ng controlling, which is all about identifying standards, measurements, comparisons with the standard, ganyan. But, after mo ng controlling, babalik at babalik ka ulit dun sa plan. Kumbaga, sa controlling kasi, you compare the results with the plan. Kumbaga, this is the plan and this is the actual. Yung actual, malalaman lang natin doon sa part ng controlling. Okay. So the second one is empower employees. Control systems provide managers with information and feedback on employee performance. So actually, di ba when you give feedback naman, parang there is a sense of fulfillment na okay na-achieve ko pala. At least alam mo yung status ng mga ginagawa mo, 'di ba? Parang it's like parang motivation din for the employees kasi they know ano yung kulang pa at ano yung what is the right thing that they are doing, parang ganon. Okay? And of course, protecting the workplace. Control enhance physical security and help minimize workplace disruptions. Actually, later on, ma-discuss natin that controlling actually comprises of disciplinary actions. Kung baga, paano mo makokontrol yung mga employee mo towards good behavior. Okay. Ayan. So, let us move on naman doon sa isa sa mga pinaka-importanting topic dito, which is actually your controlling process. So, ang control process kasi is a three-step process of measuring actual performance. This one, comparing actual performance against a standard. And number three is taking managerial actions. So, ang ginagawa dito sa taking managerial actions is actually for you to correct deviations. Ibig sabihin, kung anong pagkakaiba or yung naging difference or even inadequate standards. Yan. So, lagi nakadepende sa kung ano, syempre lahat dapat ng mga actions ay towards the goals and objectives of the company. Okay? Another one, or the first one actually in the process, is called your measuring performance. So, in measuring performance class, we should know what to measure, and number two, how to measure it. So, number one, ano ang mga mini-measure natin? So, pwedeng in terms of employees, ayan, mini-measure natin ang satisfaction, turnover, absenteeism, ano, pag-budget, cost, output, sales. So, usually, makikita niyo later on, pero huwag kayong ma-overwhelm that controlling is actually a lot about financial statements, mga financial ratios, ganun. Ayan. So, yung sources of information natin, how do we measure is, number one, we can use personal observation. Okay. And number two is statistical reports, three oral reports, and four yung written report. So, pwedeng yung mga oral reports is like your report ng mga managers, na kung ano yung napapansin nila, etc. etc. So, most of the work activities ng my class, it can be expressed in quantifiable terms. However, syempre, kailangan pa rin gumamit ng managers ng subjective measures kung kailangan. Okay? Although, syempre, ang first basis talaga natin is numbers, kasi yun talaga ang nami-measure. Ito yung masasabi mo talaga na mataas or mababa. Pero syempre, meron tayong mga sinasabi na based on your analysis na ikaw mismo, parang okay naman siya, or naging okay naman yung performance nila or something like that. So, although such measures may have limitations, they're better than having no standards at all and doing no controlling. So, kahit na yung mga yung standards natin, yung mga computations or like mga results is may mga disadvantages talaga yan. Pero at least it is better than having no standards at all, di ba? Ayan. So ito yung mga different benefits and drawbacks for personal observation, statistical reports, oral reports, and written reports. Pero for you kaya, what is the ayan, you can comment below. This is the first question for this video. What do you think? If you were the manager, what do you think is the best source of information when measuring performance? Okay. So you can identify below. You can comment question number 1. Ayan, which do you think is the best source of information for measuring performance? Syempre, why? So please take note of the benefits and the drawbacks. Okay. So after measuring the performance, syempre, number 2, we need to compare actual performance against the standard. Okay. So, hindi kasi natin malalaman kung fail siya or hindi when you do not compare. Kumbaga, it's like setting a target. So, your standard is like your target or your quota or your something that is expected na outcome. So, it is actually determining the degree of variation between the actual performance and the standard. So, in this step, meron tayong tinatawag na range of variation. Wherein ang range of variation na parang acceptable na range, na kunyari, ang ginugol mo is 10. Pero pag 12 siya, pag less than 10 siya for like 8, ganyan, okay na siya kasi kasama siya sa acceptable range of variation. Hindi lang to in terms of money, guys, ha, pero in terms of variation sa standard ng, for example, quality ng products, ganyan kasi dapat pare-parehas lahat yan, di ba? So, meron tayong tinatawag na range of variation. It is the acceptable parameters of variance between actual performance and the standard. Okay. So, ito yung example natin na acceptable range of variation. Wherein, ito kasi through a graph, yung kanya, na ito yung standard. Okay? Itong part na to, for example, 0 ito, no? Itong upper limit na to, ito yung acceptable. Pag lumampas siya, hindi na siya acceptable. Okay, pag dito naman, pag lumampas din, hindi na siya acceptable. So, itong time period to, for example, month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4, month 5, ganyan. So, as you can see here, pasok naman siya lahat, right? Pasok siya sa standard. So, pag lumampas siya, ibig sabihin, meron kailangan gawin para bumalik siya sa acceptable range of variation. Okay, so let us just recap. I hope you are taking notes. First is to measure performance, and number 2 is to compare actual performance with a standard. Okay. The third one is for you to take managerial action. So, class, ang managers, they can choose 3 possible courses of action. Okay, isulat nyo to. Number 1 is they can do nothing. Okay, kapag naman yung plan is yung actual is same lang, or they are in the right path, di ba? Ibig sabihin, wala silang gagawin kasi they are doing the right thing. Number 2, they can actually correct the actual performance. Okay, ibig sabihin magkakaroon ka ng corrective action. And number 3 is actually to revise the standard. Okay, ang revising the standard is like, pwede mong babaan yung standard or pwede mong mataasan. Depende sa performance. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. For example, meron kang objectives, nag-set ka ng standards. So when you measure the actual performance, you compare it first, right? So after measuring, you compare the actual performance with the standard. Okay, so nandito na tayo. Is standard being attained? Yes. So you should do nothing, right? So sabi niya dyan, pag naman ang sagot mo, is the variance acceptable or range of variation, is it acceptable? If yes, wala ka nang gagawin kasi acceptable naman siya. But if your answer in this question is no, is a standard acceptable? Ibig sabihin nun, baka naman kasi hindi na-achieve yung quota kasi masyadong mataas yung standard, right? So, kapag ang sagot is yes, you identify the cause of variation. Okay, ibig sabihin nun, identify mo kung saan sila nagkamali. And then, you correct performance. So, yun yung isa sa mga choices. And number 2, okay, and number 2 is kapag ang standard naman is acceptable, you revise, or hindi siya acceptable rather, you revise the standard. Okay, so, yun. So, basically, you can do nothing. So, kung ulitin ko yun, for example, kapag yung standard is acceptable, dito tayo nagkakatalo. Kapag acceptable yung standard, yet, hindi na-achieve yung goals, syempre, identify mo muna yung cause of variation, tapos i-correct mo yung performance. So, baka kasi, nalito ko kanina. Okay. Ayan. But, if the standard is not acceptable because it is too high or too low, kailangan mo i-revise yung standard at pabalik ka ulit mula una. Okay. So, the next time na gagawin nila ulit yun, they will be basing it from the new standard na nirevise mo. Okay, pero pag yung standard na sinet mo ay okay naman lahat, kaya naman siya, pero may nagkamali lang, yun, kailangan mo i-correct yung performance. Doon ka magkakaroon ng corrective action. Okay, so, I think, ikakat ko muna yung video dito kasi baka alam niyo na baka masyadong mahaba at hindi ko siya ma-upload ng maayos. So, I will see you in part 2. Okay, bye. Bye for now. I'll see you sa next part ng aking discussion. Thank you.